This might be one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't mean that in the sense that this movie is flawless. While it is a fantastic movie, I do think that Oogie Boogie was underutilized and that the climax was rather weak. To me, having a favorite piece of media is more than just liking something a lot. This movie is a favorite of mine because it defined how I looked at a medium. Yeah, I have some issues with this film, but it also in many ways defined my aesthetic, creating an itch that I would scratch with movies like Caroline and Paranorman. It made me realize to some extent what I wanted out of animation. That's why to me, this will always be one of my favorite movies. Not because it's the best movie I've ever seen, but in how it made me look at this medium. Let's start with a basic synopsis of the plot. We start with Halloween Town's Halloween celebration. Jack wanders off, feeling a sense of disillusionment towards the holiday. He comes across these holiday trees and he enters the Christmas one. Enthralled with Christmas, he tries to sell the holiday to Halloween Town. The citizens, however, have difficulty understanding it. So Jack sells the holiday by making it sound more Halloweenish. Jack and Halloween Town then decide to take over Christmas this year with things going very wrong. In the end, Jack realizes the error of his ways and Santa then sets everything right. The part of this movie that I like the most is probably the aesthetics. In general, I have a thing for stop-motion animation, probably because of this movie. The Nightmare Before Christmas has this charming creepiness to it. This movie is full of captivating imagery and fascinating set design. Christmas Town also looks fantastic, really capturing this winter whimsiness that is often associated with Christmas. It perfectly contrasts Halloween Town. Christmas Town is bright and cheerful, while Halloween Town is dark and foreboding, but like in a good way. This movie is truly beautiful. Now let's talk about the music. Disney is somewhat known for well-constructed and memorable songs. It's kind of their brand. And the music from The Nightmare Before Christmas is no exception. This movie's soundtrack is actually a personal favorite of mine. There's What's This, a song that manages to capture a sense of Christmas whimsy and a sense of excited curiosity. There's Oogie Boogie's song, which is one of the best villain songs hands down, with it embodying Oogie Boogie's fun and menacing energy. The other songs all fit the mood needed for the scene, from a busy production line to a melancholic lament. Also, let me tell you, the disturbing nature of Kidnap the Santa Claus doesn't really hit you until you hear Korn cover it. Now let's move on to the character Sally. She's a corpse girl who is Jack's main love interest. While she is a major character, she doesn't really do a whole lot plot-wise, with her mostly just responding to everything else going on. Jack is the one who ultimately drives the plot forward most of the time. Most of what Sally actually does doesn't really change much. For example, she attempted to stop Jack's ill-advised trip as Santa by making a thick fog, but that was quickly solved with Jack's ghost dog acting as Rudolph. She also attempted to rescue Santa from Oogie Boogie using her, sexy leg as a distraction. She just ends up getting kidnapped herself, with Jack having to rescue her along with Santa. Sally, however, is not a complete non-entity. She does have her own emotional arc. Sally's relationship with her creator, Dr. Finkelstein, seems to be kind of abusive. I mean, just look at the Good Doctor's introduction. The movie shows an implicit desire for her to get away from him, to get away from his controlling attitude, and to forge an identity of her own. These desires even seeming to inform her feelings for Jack. Her main role in the movie is to act as a moral center. She acts as the one character not caught up in this misguided Christmas fervor. She's the one who can see how bad of an idea this whole thing is. She contextualizes the main plotline by helping present Jack's Christmas mission as a well-intentioned but ultimately unwise endeavor. That doesn't mean that her not doing much plot-wise isn't a problem. Sally's narrative impact is lessened by how her anxieties over Jack's Christmas scheme never really resolve anything. The main resolution to that scheme is just Jack going, "Oh crap, I fucked up." Side note, the ending romance between Jack and Sally comes straight out of nowhere. Like, sure, Sally's feelings for Jack were well established, but the same can't be said for Jack's feelings for Sally. There was no hint of him having feelings towards Sally before the ending, where he's talking about his love for her and shit. Although for once, it's a male partner whose romantic feelings were underdeveloped, so that's something, I guess. Generally, I think the climax is pretty weak. It's not just that Jack isn't the one to resolve the main situation, it's that the main conflict pretty much ends with Jack pulling a single string of Oogies, leading to Santa immediately fixing everything. The main villain, as fantastic as he is disposed of so easily. Just Jack dodging some stuff and pulling one string. Beyond that, Jack not fixing his own mess is a bit disappointing narrative-wise. Like, I get that this probably makes the most sense plot-wise to an extent, but even so, it's not exactly the most satisfying resolution. Now let's talk about the movie's themes. The main inciting incident is Jack experiencing a new culture whose customs he becomes fascinated with. It's seeming to be a cure for his melancholy. As a result, he decides to take control of those cultural traditions, turning said culture into a commodified version of itself that is unrecognizable when compared to the original. Said original culture is ousted, with Jack imposing his will on the tradition. There are multiple ways of interpreting the theme, of course. With Santa bestowing Halloween Town with its first snowfall, I see it as a call for a respectful exchange of culture as opposed to Jack's attempted domination. What I got from the film is that while experiencing other cultures is fine, what is not okay is treating those cultures as if their traditions were yours to control. Jack's hubris was not his love of Christmas Town, but in how he felt like Christmas was his to take, as if Christmas was his to impose on as he wished. Truth be told, I think that's a pretty good message. Overall, this is a damn good movie. The movie always looks gorgeous, from Christmas Town to Halloween Town. I especially love this charming creepiness that this movie has. The music is also great, always accentuating the needed mood. Plus, it's just a good listen. It is not a perfect movie, however. Sally, while having some interesting aspects to her character, is ultimately underutilized. The climax is rather weak. The villain ends up being underused and Jack doesn't actually fix his mess. But despite that, this movie is still one of my favorites. It will always hold a special place in my heart because it's one of the first movies that truly captured my imagination. Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it informed what I look for in this medium.